Our tale begins with a cowpoke named Rob,
A passionate man was he.
looking to hobnob with a lassie named Bob.
Lucky this Bob was a she.
Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same. This cowgirl's no fan of them sweet Dixie chicks.
Miss Bob, she tended her sheep.
Her younger life she starred in some dirty flicks.
My, she likes her dung piles deep. Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same.
Looking for a chance to meet the fine dame,
Our man devises a plan.
not falling off his horse, nay, that'd be too lame.
Instead, he acts like a man.
Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same. He roped his pet Polly, a big speckled chicken.
And strolled on up to her gate.
She moseyed on out from her polka dot kitchen.
And sized up this possible mate. Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same.
She fancied barbed wire and watching grass grow.
Truly, she sounded like a boar.
Her tool shed was full and some needed to go.
So Rob set his eyes on the hoe.
Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same. Bob ignored the chicken and asked about his ranch.
Then offered him one of her pies.
Rob saw his chance to make an advance.
But damn, there were so many flies. Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same.
He looks around and realizes the land's a mess.
The big brown pile stunk up the land.
And yet, when he thinks of his Bob Sansa dress,
He plans to stay until dawn.
never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same. Now aroma of romance is spread in the air.
All the animals want to turn,
Bob and Rob seem oh so happy with not a care.
but disaster follows this yearn. Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same.
Then a bang comes a ewe for a lick.
But you know chickens only peck.
Mayhem breaks loose and regrettably Bob panics.
She gasps and chokes Bob's chicken's neck.
Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll just never be the same. Stroking his chicken, the pain in his heart is real.
Depressed, he set out homeward bound.
The love of his life turns out to be a bad deal.
Heads down for a new love to find. Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same.
Amongst his confusion he arrives at the bar.
Bob, he realized, was an error.
No chicken to cuddle with, he would not make it far.
Now the town will suffer his terror.
Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same. Rob saunters up to the bar and says with a grin,
I need to be drunk for a while.
Sizing up his options, he says, get me some gin.
Gulps it all down with a big smile. Never mess with girls with boys' names. You'll never be the same.
Drunk as a skunk, he turns with a crooked grin.
He spots a new lovely lady.
Forgetting his chicken, he's determined to win.
Sheepless, he hopes, nothing shady.
Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll never be the same. He goes and moseys on over to her table.
Looking hard to score some of that.
Says with a wink, wanna step out to my stable?
Appalled, she replies with a slap. Never mess with girls with boys' names. You'll never be the same.
Now you'd think this fellow would have learned his lesson.
He should have headed for the door.
Stupidly, he decides to go forth a messin'.
Next thing, you find him on the floor.
Never mess with girls with boys' names. You'll never be the same. The blue saloon doors crash open with a clatter.
Suddenly, the room is silent.
It's Bob with her ewe to see what's the matter.
Expect it to get violent. Never mess with girls with boys' names. You'll never be the same.
No condition to react, Rob lies in his daze.
From her saddlebag comes a fowl,
Rob tries to mend her broken man's drunken craze.
and she wraps him up in a towel.
Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll just never be the same. It's good to remember that our sweet calico
Was simply dragging her rope.
Cowboy Rob is a batch, and this gal she's no fool.
Getting her man was her main hope. Never mess with girls with boys' names. You'll never be the same.
His chicken dead and no hope on the horizon.
Rob looks up at her and smiles,
His heart starts a pumping and he gets a risin'.
and rides home on her sheep o'er the miles.
Never mess with girls with boys' names, you'll just never be the same. So our tale's winding down, and the lesson you learn,
Amongst the dung piles and sheep.
every cowboy got needs and he'll take his turn.
But be careful with who you sleep. Never mess with the girls with boys' names. You'll never be the same.
Bob's no longer alone, 'cause she was no dummy.
Her sheep now live with the chickens.
Rob got to hobnob and Bob is a mummy.
And that's where our plot stops to thicken.
Never mess with girls with boys' names. You'll just never be the same. You'd think that their romance was totally awesome.
But Rob, he lost all his luck.
With no other choice but cottonwood blossom.
But at least he was finally finished.